Today's lesson is going to teach us how to take information and use that information to create a linear equation. So from Algebra 1, some teachers choose to teach you what's called point-slope form, others don't. But everyone has learned slope-intercept form. So if you don't remember, slope-intercept form is this y equals mx plus b. Point-slope form is a different formula that would still make a line, but it looks like this. So I'm actually going to, when I show you how to do these today, I am a fan of using point slope form because I think it's really direct and really easy to use. So that might be new to you. Not a lot of teachers teach using point slope form. Just some things to remember. M stands for the word slope and B stands for your y-intercept. So the good news is that every single problem you get is going to be a case 1, a case 1, a case 2, or a case 3. So again, linear means line. So there's different formulas that will make a line. There's 3 that you have been exposed to, but we're going to use these 2 today. So the first thing I want to do is just give you the steps for the different cases. So case 1 would be if I gave you the slope and the y-intercept. That's considered a gift because that's all you need to make a linear equation. So all you're going to do is set up this formula y equals, and instead of mx plus b, you're just going to leave a space where m was and a space where b was. You're going to put the slope I give you in the first space, and you're going to put your y-intercept or your b value in the second space, and then you're done. So you really don't have any work to do. So case 1 is a piece of cake. Now case 2, it's kind of like I'm meeting you in the middle. I'll give you the slope, but I'm not going to tell you the y-intercept. I'm going to keep that a secret, and you're going to have to find that. But if I'm not going to give you the y-intercept, well, then I have to give something to you. So I'll give you a point. So what you're going to do is set up that point slope form. Y minus, or y2 minus y1, m, and then x2 minus x1. Now, you know, I don't write these subscripts here because I don't need them. I don't see any other y's in front of my eyes, so I don't need a subscript here. So what you're going to do is you're going to label your information. You're going to put your y1 in the first space, or your y value that I give you. You're going to put your slope in the middle, and that should be easy to remember because middle starts with the letter m, so m should be in the middle. And then you're going to have an x coordinate, and that's going to go in your last space. Once you set up your formula and plug in your numbers, you're going to work on getting y by itself, and that'll make sense once we actually do a problem. Now case 3, do me a favor, I have a little typo here. Case 3 is when you're given 2 points. So if it says given, if it says the same thing as case 2, go ahead and change that for me. Case 3 is when you're given 2 points. I'm not telling you a slope, and I'm not telling you the y-intercept, and that's just the worst. That means you have to do everything. So step 1 is you gotta compute your slope. Now this formula shouldn't be new to you. Should definitely recognize that. We're going to once again use that formula. That's called the slope formula. So you're going to use that to get your m value, which remember stands for slope. Once you do that, you actually kind of revert back to a case 2. So you set up your case 2 formula with all these spaces. And I always tell my kids y minus space equals space, parenthesis, x minus space. That seems really complicated right now, but as you say it over and over, it becomes second nature. And then you're going to plug in your information just like you would in a case 2 problem. And once again, you want to get y by itself. Now it's important to note that when you plug in your information, remember you're going to have 2 ordered pairs to pick from. You can use either of them. It does not matter which one you use in step 2. So once again, it's probably a little overwhelming right now, but once we go through some examples, you'll see and probably catch on to what we're doing. All right, so let's just start out with case 1 because those are the easiest. So it says write the equation of a line whose y-intercept is -4 and whose slope is 2. So you would want to call your -4 your b value, and 2 is your m value, and you always set up y equals blank x plus blank for case 1. You want to put your slope first, and you want to put your y value second. So 2x and then -4, just like that. And it's going to be the same thing for number 2, except this time the slope is 3/4 and the y-intercept is -1. So again, you set up your formula. Your slope, which is your m value, will go right here. So you're going to write 3/4 right here. and your y-intercept will go, or your b value will go in the last space. And that's it. That's done. That's what we want our answers to look like. See how y is all by itself? Nice and pretty and ready to graph. So a lot of people don't realize this, but when I give you a picture of a line, I'm really giving you a case one because you can see the y-intercept and you can count the slope. So you don't really have to do any actual math to do this. You just have to know how to look at it. So the first thing is you want to find your slope. So if we always start at the left point, we count down and then to the right. So we're going to get negative 2/3 as the slope. Your y-intercept is always on the y-axis. So eyes to the middle is what I tell my students. And you want to look for the crisscross, which happens to still be positive 2. So your y-intercept is positive 2. Now you just put your information in. The slope goes in the first space, and your y-intercept goes in the second space. And we'll do it again just to make sure it's sticking. So the first thing you want to do is between these two dots, you always want to start at the one that's on the left. So you want to start your counting from here when you do your slope. So it looks like you have to rise 2, you have to go up 2, and then you have to go right 1. So my slope, up 3 and right 1. Your slope is going to be 3/1, and really that's just the same thing as 3. So your slope is 3. And then your y-intercept is, if you put your eyes to the middle, it's where that crisscross happens, and that's right here. So it looks like your y-intercept is 3. And now you're just going to put that information into the correct spaces. Slope goes first, y-intercept goes second. Now number 5 is a unique line because there is no left or right points. I don't know where to start. And even if you start here, yeah, you go maybe up or down, but you never go over. So this is unique. Because you actually can't count both directions, your slope is called undefined. It's too steep to count. I can't go up and over. It's not doable. And your y-intercept, well, if you look in the middle here, there is no crisscross, so there is no y-intercept. So a lot of kids are like, well, Mrs. Stoltz, how do I do this then? I don't know the slope, I don't have a slope, and I don't have a y-intercept. See, this is where you just have to be disciplined and realize this is a very special line. The only thing that's true about this line is every single x value of all these dots is 4. So you just write x equals, and then whatever number they all have in common, which is 4. So that kind of has its own setup. Now these other ones, you won't run into that issue. These are all doable. So the first thing is, if you put a dot anywhere on here, you're not going to go up at all. So you go up 0 and over 1. Well, that's possible. If you went up 0 and over 1, you'd be there. If you went up 0 and over 2, that would work as well. So no matter what, this top number is going to be 0. So your slope's just 0. Doesn't go up or down, just stays the same. And your y-intercept, you have one of those this time, right? Right here you have this crisscross going on at 1, so you can set up your formula. You're going to put 0 in first and then 1 in second. Now you have to remember that 0 times anything is 0. So you could actually just drop this all together. And this would be y equals 1. Alright, number 7. Notice I don't have any dots on here for you. Well, you need to put your own 2 dots on here. It can be anywhere. I chose to put mine right here and here. It's probably easiest if you put them closer versus further, less counting on your part. And you're just going to start counting your slope. So you have to go up 1, right 1. So your slope is 1. And your y-intercept would be right here, which is 0. And then you set up your formula. You're going to put 1 in first, 0 in second. And it's the same thing for number 8. There's no dots on here, so you have to find your own dots. So I'm just going to put my dots right here and here. All right, and then again, when you count your slope, I always start at the dot that's closest to the left, and I start my counting from there. So it looks like you're going to have to go down 2 and right 2. Well, because I have to go down, my slope is negative 2 over 2, which is really just negative 1. And if you put your eyes to the middle, and you look for that crisscross, you'll see your y-intercept is again at 0. Now it's time to set up your formula and just put your numbers in their correct spaces. Now one thing I want to mention is if you add 0 to something, it's not going to change. So technically you're not required to write plus 0. So this is the same thing as y equals negative x, and this is the same thing as y equals positive x. Remember, you don't have to have a 1 in front of your x when you present your answer. It's assumed that there's a 1 there. So you would see these on like Delta Math and standardized tests. No one's going to write a 1 and a 0. Alright, so in our next video, we're going to actually start doing some work. We're going to do some case 2 examples and see how that goes.